Hey everybody, I'm Josh. I wanted to do a video today because I think that we have to learn to question everything. Never take what we know, what we think we know, as fact. We can obviously, most things we can believe in. You know, the air we breathe, they tell us it's oxygen and carbon dioxide and all that good stuff. Okay, we can take their word for it. Talking about the more existential questions in our lives, like the existence of God, for one. So, I don't remember the exact quote, but there was a quote by Thomas Jefferson. And he was talking to, I believe, his nephew. And he said that we should question with boldness even the very existence of God. Because if there is a God, he would want you to understand him and question him instead of believing by blind fear. God doesn't want us to fear him. Now, you read the Old Testament, and yes, there was a lot about the fear in there. And we should shape our lives around what we think God's morals should be. What the wisdom teaches us from the ancient scriptures, the Bible, whatever religion you follow. But don't take anybody's word for it. I know I say this a lot, but don't trust in man. Never trust in man. Even your closest loved ones, don't trust in them, because they are all flesh and blood. They're all imperfect, and they will all let you down, according to your standards, at least. You put your trust in God once you have a personal relationship with him, and through that trust, you're able to trust others. I would, trust my wife or my kids, and it's not always what I think should happen. But what I think should happen doesn't matter. But that's how most of our life view is. What we think should happen based on our experiences and our knowledge. That's not what a life walking in the light of God is. It's taking everything as it comes. It's living in the present moment and enjoying and getting all the lessons, all the wisdom from that moment. Take whatever that moment has to offer you. If it's an awful moment, if it's suffering, take that suffering and learn how to maybe avoid suffering in the future, or learn the meaning of that suffering in some other way. We are also incredibly unique that you can't judge what your life should be based on anyone else's. Of course, there's human nature, and that's what our instincts are. We have that evil inside of us, that greed, lust, jealousy, and spitefulness. We all have that inside of us. There's no use denying it. No use at all. This is one of the many reasons why when God sent me out to study as many different religions and spiritualities and philosophies as I could. I kept coming back to Christ. Now, Christ's story, his teachings, his life is revolutionary. I watched someone talking about this not too long ago. It was a man who switched from Islam to Christianity. And he said that he talked about the reasons why so few switch from Islam to Christianity. You know, he was shunned by his family. The Islamic leaders and the Islamic script say that you should die if you leave Islam. But he prayed to God and he was like, you need to show me. He'd been drawn to the Christ teachings, but he was so scared of them because of what he'd been taught all his life. But he said, like I did, he went straight to the source. Because that's what you have to do. You have to go straight to the source. I'm not saying Christianity will be for you. I'm not saying anything will be for you. I'm just saying you need to find out for yourself. Go straight to the source. But this man, and I wish I remembered his name, this man who converted from Islam to Christianity, he cried when he talked about his family not even calling him up, not just completely putting him out of their lives. But he said he would do it again 1,000,000 times. He would go through all the suffering, and he went through a lot. Converting to Christianity, and especially in an Islamic state, is life-threatening. He said he would do it again because he'd never seen anything like how a God that would love us so much to create basically an essence of himself, his only son, his chosen son, and have him experience the ultimate torture. You know, he was talking about how when they were torturing Jesus, how they whipped him and they used to put little pieces of rock or bone on the ends of the whip. So when it whipped you, it would tear off pieces of flesh. So you would bleed profusely. And then that was all over your body. So then you have the crucifixion, which was the worst way to die. The absolute worst way. So you go through that. You go through that absolute hell. The whipping, the crown of thorns, carrying his own cross, that long distance to get to the crucifixion site. And then they nailed his hands into the cross. And every breath that he took, that raw, ripped flesh, scraping against splintered wood. I can't imagine anyone watching their children go through that suffering. But you know, the suffering that this world gives us the suffering that we go through, God knew that we needed Jesus. Because obviously we're all sinners and he died for our sins. But we also all suffer. For God to say, I understand, I'm going to experience this suffering myself, to show you that as awful as it is, there is salvation. There is light at the end of that tunnel. There always is hope. For my purpose, I was meant to be a hope bringer. To bring it to anyone who needs it, who's lost in their own hell. And the message of hope in Christianity is unparalleled. Now, I know I don't have to justify why I'm have my certain faith. Nobody should have to justify their faith. But everyone should be strong enough in their faith to be able to defend it. I am strong enough in my faith to defend it, but I work on it every day because it's just like a fighter. You know, we'll take an MMA fighter, I guess. I'm not the most experienced in that, but I know that if you stop training and you have an opponent who's been training, then you're going to get your butt kicked. This is why we must strengthen our faith every day that we can. I try to incorporate God into my entire life. I just keep an open channel. It's like, give them a call, keep an open line. Maybe turn it off when I'm in the bathroom sometimes. I swear I always had that. I had the same question when I was a kid that my daughter just asked me not too long ago. It's like, God watches us all the time. Does he watch us while we're in the bathroom? That's creepy. And I was like, you don't understand, baby. God does not care about you going to the bathroom. But it's just what goes through kids' heads because we can't. That just shows you how we can't understand the God. That's why he had to give us Jesus. You know, a lot of other religions, they're like, why would God would not go through that suffering himself, lower himself to human level and go through suffering himself. God would not do that. God is almighty. Why would he need to do that? Because he needed to have credibility. Just like I had to have the credibility and go through my suffering and still go through pain on a regular basis. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't know. And I wouldn't have any credibility with anybody who says, oh yeah, you've never been there before. You've never been through what I've been through. Nobody's been through what you've been through. You might have it 1,000,000 times worse than I did. But I had enough suffering to where I have credibility with the people that need my help. And better yet, I can walk through the hell that they are stuck in. And I know I bring it up a lot, but I compare it to being like a park ranger, like a spiritual park ranger. If I am to save someone and they are stuck in hell, let's say they're stuck in, depression from whatever, from a loss. How am I supposed to deal with the demons? How am I supposed to deal with the climate, the predators, just anything that pops up in that hell if I have no experience in it myself? I just had a pampered life, and it was, yeah, I had some bumps on the road, but it was pretty easy. It was pretty great. I would have no credibility. God knew that we could relate to him when he sent Jesus down. That is the biggest thing. Jesus is our connection to him. He's our stairway to heaven. He's a conduit straight to the divine. I happen to feel, and I don't know how much basis in reality, but this is just what kind of God's shown me. So we live on this earthly plane. There's a spiritual plane in between us. It's got negative and positive energies and probably all kinds of spirits and beings there that we have no clue, we can't comprehend. But if you can tap into that spiritual realm, it's amazing power. You know, that's what a lot of New Age spirituality is all about. That's what psychedelics are about. You take a psychedelic, you're witnessing that spiritual realm. But the thing that's lacking in all those, and the thing that's lacking in anybody who finds the spiritual realm and thinks that's God. I used to think it was God. I used to think, even though I'd witnessed God, I used to think, well, that's certainly where he lives, in that spiritual realm. So I chased it and I tried to get back there. And I realized the longer I stay in there, yeah, I might get some great positive energy out of there, but I'm also taking on a ton of negative energy. And then I found that we need a conduit straight to the divine realm, which is beyond spiritual, beyond earthly realm, and that is Jesus. If nothing else, that is what Jesus does to us. He is our stairway to heaven. He is Jacob's ladder in the Bible. He is our conduit, our open line straight to God. Because now God has that credibility because he came down himself. He sent his only son, his chosen son, which is confusing because it still is God. So he made an aspect of himself into Jesus. And he said, I understand you can't relate to me because I'm a being out of time and space. So I'm going to send you my son. He's going to teach you all these parables and stories of how to navigate the waters of worship, of connection, of anything divine. And so we navigate those waters as Jesus taught us. And he has that credibility now. Because we know he's been through it all. He's been through every single bit of it. He's not that almighty being talking to Moses or Job or anyone else in any Bible or ancient religious text. He is the creator. He is everything that we know and everything that we don't know. And everything we think we know is probably wrong. I just wanted to kind of get this out here because I really do think that I was completely wrong about, not completely wrong maybe, but I was pretty wrong about how God wanted me to proceed. But the lesson was in the mission that he gave me to go and explore those different religions and put that piece of puzzle together. And it just, when it dawned on me, then every single thing that looked like it would work for me in worshiping and connecting to God and any other religion or any other philosophy was already there in Christianity. And again, I'm not telling you that you need to convert to Christianity. I'm not telling you that Christ is the way for you. I'm telling you what I found, because that's all I can do. And I'm not the typical Christian. I'm more of a, I don't want to say mystical, but I guess that's kind of like the only word I can think of. I guess I am more of a mystical type spiritual person. I'm not the, I enjoy the traditionals at times, you know, sitting down with the congregation, hearing the sermons and singing the hymns. I enjoy that from time to time, but this is where this waterfall, this little tiny waterfall, and this beautiful forest around me, these are the places that I worship and I connect to God. And that's why I wanted to do these videos here. And I always try to get them outside. Sometimes I have to do them in the car or in the house, but it's much better when I get to do it out here. Just because this is where I connect. I'm showing you where God talks to me. And you can check out my video on the day God saved me, and that's the day that God came to me, and I actually have some footage from that day I put on there. I posted it a couple weeks ago, I think. But he talks to me in every footstep that I take out here. Every breath I take. And sometimes that message will be clouded, especially during pollen season or when the bugs come out real bad. But when the heat comes. But every footstep, he's with me. And I can relate to him better now because I found that connection between him, myself, and Jesus. And that connection is, as I said, the day I was saved was the greatest gift I've ever gotten. And I've barely even started to tear off the wrapping paper of it. I cannot wait to see each tear as I open it, it's just another gift and another profound mystery. And I hope that you all will stay with me along this path. I hope that my Christianity or anything doesn't scare you off, because I'm here for you even if you're not a Christian. I'm just telling you what I discovered in my life. And like I said, I have no idea what's in store for you or the way you connect to God. But I'd love to hear it. If you have a story and you have a testimony about anything spiritual, I'd love to hear it. And if you're okay with me repeating it on the video or talking about it or discussing it, I would just let me know. Sometimes I'll ask, and because a lot of these videos are answers to questions or things people bring up in the comments, because I love you all in the comments, and I'm sorry I don't get to respond to every single one. That is the one thing I do wish that I was able to respond to every single one, but sometimes, I'm telling you, it takes me hours and hours. I was replying to one woman the other night. I spent 2 hours writing the thing up, and I'm like, what am I doing? She's not going to read this. So then I was like, well, I guess I'll just have to make it into a video or something. So I'll just have notes for a video, which I never use notes because I just come out here and talk about what I have, general notes, and I read them. I can't turn my phone off to look at them, but all right, I'm rambling, I know. But listen, if you ever have any concerns, any questions, anything you'd like to share, please let me know. And I read all of them, and I'm sorry if I can't respond, but I try to. I do have other things to do too, but I try to spend, like I said, sometimes 6-7 hours a night on it, because you guys are the most important thing right now. God has told me to help you all in any way I can. I'll talk to you soon. God bless.